Should evil get punished? We often hear complaints like this. Life is unfair. Good deeds go unrewarded. Bad deeds go unpunished. Good people are constantly taken advantage of, while the wicked seem to get away with everything. Some even argue that much of what we call good or evil is shaped by upbringing and environment. Just because someone is unlucky in this life, born into a harsh world, and ends up doing wrong along the way, should they really be punished? Take the Joker, for instance. A man shaped by cruelty, driven to chaos, yet in his own mind, every act is justified. But who decides that evil must always be punished? And flipping the question, is goodness always truly good? At this moment, I realize that starting the video this way may lead the audience down a strange path, making it seem as if I'm defending wrongdoers, making excuses, or even undermining the value of good people and good deeds. But after some reflection, I wonder, isn't our very perception of good and evil itself a strange, even peculiar phenomenon? If we look closely at everyday notions of good and evil, we will notice a hidden frame of reference tied to personal gain and loss. If I benefit, it's good. If I suffer, it's evil. This I can be large or small, depending on the circle of interests with which we identify. I, my family, our community, our society, we human beings. In our world, we constantly divide things with dualistic labels. Pests versus beneficial insects, flowers versus weeds, food versus poison. Yet these categories often reflect human preference more than objective truth. Dandelions, one of the most notorious weeds for North American gardeners, but in traditional Chinese medicine, it is a healing herb that clears heat and detoxifies. Coffee and chocolate may be deadly to many animals, yet for humans, they are comfort, energy, even joy. High above, vultures circle and descend on carcasses, heavy with bacteria and decay. What would poison us becomes their nourishment. It is nature's reminder that value shifts with perspective, and that nothing is purely good or bad in itself. Do you say it now? We all view the world from a vantage point where we believe we are on the side of good. No matter how terrible our action might seem to others, we can always justify them from our own perspective. Think of Thanos insisting that wiping out half of the universe was an act of mercy. It's a classic truth. Villains never see themselves as villains. And that's precisely why we so often stand on the moral high ground and condemn others, because in our own narrative, we're always the good ones. Therefore, Laozi introduced the concept of Wu Wei, which is non-action or effortless action. Wu Wei means achieving without forcing, flowing with the way of nature. So here Laozi said, higher virtue is uncontrived, and there is no way to contrive it. Lower virtue is created, and there is a way to do it. In other words, Laozi believed the best way to do good is to follow Wu Wei and not intentionally do it. The not-so-smart way to do good is to act with intention and force. Once we think we are doing good and label our actions as such, the very act of doing good becomes something to reflect on. Back in the Wei Jing period of the Three Kingdoms era, Wang, a metaphysician or a Taoist philosopher, shared his own take on the道德经. Virtue is gain. one who constantly gains without loss, benefits without harm. This is called virtue. One benefits without harm. What Wang proposed truly aligns with the virtue. Some might think he meant one should benefit others. Benefiting others is virtue, and therefore good. But is that really the case? Think of how many people unintentionally cause harm while trying to do good for others. I believe the wise one would not make such a statement here. But it is quite tricky here because Wang did not specify that benefits for whom, no harm to whom. He did not give a straightforward answer, but instead raised another question. How does one achieve De? Then it is his answer, through following the Tao. One can only achieve De when their actions are in accordance with the Tao, following the way as it is, the way that the world works. In modern words, it's called that we must do what aligns with societal rules and human nature. What a response! It seems he never answered the question about one benefits without harm. But the answer is already self-explanatory here. We should just do whatever should be done. So, who truly benefits here? I take care of myself first, then I help others. So, who remains unharmed? I first avoid harming myself, then ensure that I don't harm anyone else. Isn't that selfish? Someone must ask, but not really. It is a human nature. Besides, the lines between taking care of myself and being selfish, or between self-interest and altruism, are not clear-cut. In fact, we need to take care of ourselves first, and then we can look after others. We have to protect ourselves first to be able to benefit others. To rescue a drowning person, one must preserve one's own strength first. Otherwise, both may drown. In a plane accident, oxygen masks always have the instruction that put on your own mask first before helping your neighbor. On top of helping others, if we can keep our desires within reasonable limits and avoid harming others, it is truly virtuous. In addition, it also explains why acting according to the Tao and benefiting without causing harm allows one to constantly gain without loss. Because such actions align with how things naturally run. Everyone takes their fair share from what has been done. Just like a bee collects nectar without harming the flower, a student strengthens their own understanding while assisting others. A company provides open source software, gaining reputation while users benefit. In this way, gains come naturally and losses belong to no one, and everyone benefits from our actions. This is what we call as virtue. How can one fully realize virtue? Wang explains. Use Wu Wei. By practicing Wu Wei, all things can be effortlessly carried along. Have you seen? Wang did not insist that we must be good, nor did he advocate that we must always help others. And he never labeled his Tao with the name altruism. His idea of benefiting without causing harm isn't aimed at anyone in particular. Paradoxically, though, it naturally produces a path of helping others that is in tune with human nature, respects the natural order of society, and embodies the Tao in the middle way. This is it. I think here could be the natural ending point of the video, but I want to just talk a bit more. Wang Bei's commentary on 道德经 has actually addressed a question I raised previously in my video, Kidnapped by a Good Person. Why I don't want to be a good person? From Wang Bei's commentary. By first attending to my own interests, paradoxically, I become able to achieve the greatest benefit for others. Wu Wei, the non-action. It involves no deliberate intent, no forcing of actions. Every act naturally aligns with human nature and the social order. Live as it is, do as it should be done. This is a very sustainable way for any of us to live in this society.